Hello, everyone. Welcome to Telling Tales. Wednesday night Symbaroum. It's been a little while. I think we missed the last session and we're running fortnightly now. So has it been a month? Maybe it's been a month or so. Good Lord. But we're back for now, at least. And we are going to waste no time in getting into it. If you check down below, there's a bunch of links. You know what kind of links they are. If you're interested, go look at them. If you're not, then don't. No one's forcing you. It's a free... well, maybe not. Depending on where you are. Yeah. So let's start just bringing on the players and then we'll do a bit of a recap. I've already given them a chuckle I can see on the webcam below with my authoritarian dystopia humor. So let's get them going. I haven't said what order I'm going to bring them on in, but they probably know my patterns by now, so they can probably expect Chris first. And it is. Hey, Chris. How are you?
Are you sad that authoritarian dystopia is basically just current events in this day and age?
In this day and age, there's a great quote from an interview with William Gibson, the author of Neuromancer, where he was being interviewed, I think in the mid-2010s, on about the sort of futurism inherent in his work on crafting the cyberpunk genre, and how so many words he coined for his science fiction are now actual words we use today for things. And there was a great question where they asked him, what year do you see a cyberpunk dystopia? Do you see a cyberpunk dystopia coming to pass? And he was like, yes. And they were like, what year would you envision that you could officially kind of say the cyberpunk dystopia is with us? And in this, which is about 2015, he went 1997. That was his year that he thought we were in a cyberpunk dystopia. So there we go. That's nothing to do with Symbaroum. Chris, how are you? How's Steo, our wonderful former infantryman and town guard turned stabber with a spear?
I've been waiting about a month to go down this specific hole, and yet Steo wants nothing to do with it and wants to get out of here as quickly as possible, because Steo clocked the fact that one bunch of dwarfs didn't come in to fight us. They went to get help.
The dissonance between player and character, a tale as old as time. Yeah, you want to do it, your character doesn't. And well counted. Well clocked that, yeah. Maybe the dwarves went to get some backup. Let's discuss what further horrors await you with our second player, who is Stephen. Stephen plays Alindra. It occurs to me I said Steo, former infantryman and town guard, turned stabber with a spear, when of course in both of those jobs he stabbed people with spears as well. And similarly, Alindra, when she was a Templar, cut people in half with a big sword, and now she's not a Templar, is still doing it. Transferable skills.
Yeah.
A rarity in today's modern workplace.
It's a job for life, albeit potentially quite a short life.
Yeah. It's a job for your life, but no one else's life.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll do.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Are you excited to see what is down the hole of mystery, Stephen?
I am aware that is what we're going to do. Yeah. No. I think Alindra's wanted to know who this kidnappee was, and it feels like maybe we're getting closer to finding out. I mean, Alindra's also in a state where a stiff breeze is just going to see her taking a dirt nap. So we'll see how that goes.
That could be an exciting session. That's all I'm going to say.
Sure.
Let's wheel on John. John plays Arindar, last noble member of the House Dar, and a man with 2 blades and a cat. You can never take that away from him. Well, depends on how he uses the cat, I suppose.
Well, the cat is currently
Oh,
not
yeah.
inside the current combat zone,
Yeah.
because getting into the combat zone involved climbing up a ladder and down 2 ropes. And
your party left your 2 helpers before you went down here.
yes.
We'll see what comes of that. How are you, John? And are you excited to see what lies in the pit of questions? Ran
Plot?
out of similes real fast there.
I am slightly creaky in the voice department, but please do not let my silence and slightly snuffly voice make you think that I'm not enthused to find out what horrible fate probably awaits us.
Good. And of course, it's Sam. Sam plays Askarai. Changeling, Ranger, Archer, Scout, OP, burst damage dealer, all these things and nothing else. Sam, how are you, and how are you feeling about the void of suspiciousness?
Suspicious, I suppose. It doesn't seem like we're going to find many friendly faces down there, but hopefully we at least get some answers, which will be positive. I feel like we've had a lot of questions and few answers so far in this bit of the campaign.
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, this arc is like that, but most of the arcs in Throne of Thorns feel like that thing where getting your questions answered only raises further questions.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we had a list of everyone involved, but it's all like a letter for each person. And so we still have no clue who is involved, but hopefully we can put some names to letters.
put some names to letters to faces to swords. Yeah, all right then. We might as well play Symbaroum. Let's start with a very small recap. While I remember to put the background up, that would help. Wouldn't that help? That would help. So you're in Inderos, basically chasing down the breadcrumbs of clues that will lead you towards the fabled lost city of Symbar. But while you're here, far more dramatic things have suddenly happened with a mighty mystic conjuration bringing flaming meteors down on the Cathedral of Martyrs, wrecking it, killing a whole bunch of people, unleashing flame spirits and turning the area into a nightmarish wasteland of corruption. You have been brought into the employ of the Grand Duchess Esmeralda, the only survivor from the impact of the meteors, who has employed you to find out just who did this to her wedding rehearsal, damn it. You found a number of leads, and the one you're tracking at the moment, which seemed the most urgent, is the one that you got through realizing that beneath the Cathedral of Martyrs was some kind of prison or dungeon, wherein a person or persons was imprisoned, as tends to happen in those kind of places. And you found a great deal of evidence that they had been sprung from this prison, taken elsewhere in the city, and you followed various kind of pathways to find your way to where you are now, which is heading into the underground stronghold or safe house of a dwarven family in the city. The dwarven family, not completely unlike an organized crime family. And in the dramatically named Plob 17, you have found a passage down into the darkness beneath Inderos, and you're about to go down there. I think that about adequately covers it. Does that sound about right? Oh, God. Okay. So, with that in mind, I will just refresh your memories on what is in front of you. And what is in front of you is... Oh my God, where is the actual thing for it? Yes. You found yourself in a whitewashed corridor with a paved floor and 5 openings on either side. All of the side rooms were empty, but in the second innermost room to the left, there is an opening in the wall opposite the entrance, a crack about 2 meters wide at the bottom and narrowing at the top. A few meters in, there is an irregular hole in the ground, and a rope ladder hangs over the edge, attached to wedges which have been hammered into the bedrock. You yourselves are stood at the entrance to that, like the crack. So none of you have stepped in to the crack to investigate the hole in the ground just yet.
I think Alindra is going to let the others investigate the crack and take the rear, essentially. So going to just be looking out the way that we came.
Are we legitimately prepared to go into Symbaroum ruins right now?
This is a hole in the ground. This is our bread and butter. If we can't do this, what can we do?
This is what we came here for.
We don't have information. We don't have maps. It's a death sentence.
Quick check. Holy or Blessed Shield lasts for a scene, right?
Yes. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure it does.
Okay. In that case, Sam is our informal sub Antom. Antom understudy. Antom study? Under Antom? Whatever.
Wait, is this Holy Aura or is this
Blessed Shield?
Blessed
Okay.
Shield.
Holy Aura definitely
lasts
doesn't last
until scene end.
Okay. Antom is going to give me a resolute roll for Antom and see if you can invoke Blessed Shield.
Okay.
I assumed the combat in the previous session, when that ended, the scene ended.
I mean, I end scenes between sessions pretty much anyway, so yeah.
Fair, cool. I was just because obviously Alindra had Revenant Strike Up and some
temporary
corruption and stuff.
Keep it up. It's fine.
Okay.
Antom rolled a 1. So.
Ooh. Shame it doesn't make any difference. He can have 2. He can have 1 target after himself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's going to be you, Ascarai.
Okay. So I'll happily take this and thank Father Antom.
Because Antom kind of looks over at you as he drops his hands from prayer and says, I mean, I assumed you were going first.
Well, I feel like I should now, so sure.
And I will. You mean going back to our hotel room for a nice dinner?
Maybe there's a way back through these Symbaroum ruins, dear.
Okay.
Did we make an agreement with Alindra that for her to like escape after an amount of time or anything?
Alindra?
Not Alindra.
Revelia.
I don't remember there being a time limit. Revelia is basically up on the roof waiting to drop a rope down for us.
I believe she's on the top balcony rather than the roof, but fundamentally the principle still stands.
She's there to help us get back up without having left a rope in place that would draw attention to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Although murdering all the dwarfs might have done that.
Kind of obviated that, but yeah. Okay. Are you moving forward then, Ascarai?
Yep. I'm going to move forward and try and get a bit more information. I'm going to be careful. I'm just trying to see what is going on.
Okay. Could you roll Vigilant at -1, please?
That is a 7, which passes.
Okay. About a foot before the hole in the ground, you spot a silk thin tripwire. You trace along it with your eyes. It runs to the side of this crack where you can see near the top of the crack there's like a bundle of scrap metal held up by a short rope that's linked to the tripwire. If you'd have tripped the tripwire, it would have sent the metal down the shaft.
Right, like an
It doesn't
alarm
look-
rather than a trap.
Yeah. It wouldn't. It would have been a minor inconvenience to have it land on you.
Okay,
It definitely looks like an alarm.
I will point this out to the rest of the group. There is a tripwire here. It's not a trap, but it's an alarm. We should avoid it, and hopefully we might get some kind of element of surprise still.
If you wanted to be completely safe about it, it would be the work of seconds to like reach up and put your hand under the scrap metal and just have someone cut
Okay, yeah,
the
I'll do
wire
that.
and just it would make like a noise. You know,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be very loud at all.
Okay, if it's that easy to kind of get rid of it, then I will definitely do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's just waste metal, like cut off from something made of metal.
Okay. And
Good
then
spot.
I will head and try and look through this, down this hole. Is there any light down there?
There is light coming from below. It's fairly dim, but it is there is light. Not enough to really make out anything of too much significance. It looks like the rope ladder goes down around about 4 meters. So not a huge distance.
Okay, yeah. I will quietly as possible, start going down the rope ladder.
Okay, can you give me a discreet roll, please?
Okay. That is a 13, which is exactly my discreet.
Okay. You're fairly confident that you get to the bottom. You drop down. Like I said, it's only 4 meters. It's not very far at all. And you seem to be in... you would absolutely view this as... It's a ruin. This is not an Ambrian building. Like, even with your relative lack of like, cultural knowledge, like, this is definitely not Ambrian built. At the same time, it doesn't... Like, it looks like a sort of functional sub-basement. It doesn't look like you're in, quote-unquote, a Symbaric ruin, per se. But it's almost certainly, like, this is Lindaros, not Indaros.
Okay, yeah.
You know, it's too old.
Yeah.
And it isn't built in an Ambrian style. You are in a chamber of maybe... How peculiar that they've given a measurement of 8 meters on this map I've got here, and then demarcated measurement out up to 8 meters in 5 sections. That's exciting. I'd say you're in about a 6 meter by 6 meter room with it's all stone, with stone passageway leading away to the west of where you are.
Okay.
There is soft light coming from the like that passageway leading away, but not enough to really... You think you'll be able to see more once you're out there, but it's pretty dim in here.
I'm gonna try and beckon down the rest of the group, maybe quietly call to them if they're not kind of looking, but hopefully they're looking.
Absolutely. Everyone heading down, can you give me a discreet roll, please?
I passed.
Nice.
And Tom did not pass.
Clumsy priest.
What was that roll? My internet died for just a second there.
Discreet.
Oh,
Please, Chris.
is there even any point? I rolled a 2. Oh my god!
There we go. Then only John has stepped away for a second, but Anton did. So it's not entirely quiet, but by and large, the group seems to move to the ground with a faintly quiet sensibility. There's only one way out of this room, and there's nothing else in this room. So I'm assuming we're heading out of that
Yeah,
passageway.
I will plan to head down the passageway. I might still say to the others, like, maybe just hang back a couple of steps and I'll try and take a slight look ahead.
Mm-hmm. You head out of the passageway. It's pretty short, and you find yourself at a kind of a crossroad of passageways. So there's like a corridor leading east-west that culminates in the east with the room you just came from, and a corridor leading north-south. Directly to the north of you, the corridor kind of descends into rubble. So essentially, you're given the options of, going west and going south. In the south direction is a stone passageway, dimly lit by some very faint torches on the walls. There's also studded into the ceiling on occasional distances are like very dimly glowing crystals, which you have encountered these kind of things before in Symbaroum ruins, and you also have a hunch that perhaps it seems like the kind of things that dwarves might use as well. You don't know the origin of them. That southbound corridor seems to have a couple of doors on both sides of the passageway. You can't see where the passageway ends because the light is so dim. The westward passageway looks like it has a door on the right-hand side, and it looks like maybe it turns at the end. Like, you can't tell if it's like another passageway all along, or whether it turns left or turns right. Just it seems to end a relatively short distance after that.
Okay. I'm going to head south because in my mind that is the direction of the river. I don't know if that's... Oh, no, that's opposite. North would be river.
No, north would be the direction of the river.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the map, which is upside down. In that case, I'll head west, which may lead to the river. But
sure. Are you heading as far as that doorway?
Yes, I will cautiously head up to the door.
Okay, it's about 8 meters down, so it's not too far. The door is ajar, and inside you can see a large collection of what can only be described as debris. Broken furniture, broken rock, literal rubbish, trash, and some of it's kind of like, modern rubbish and trash as well. Like some of it looks Ambrium, some of it looks maybe a little dwarf make. It just looks like a chamber where people have shoved crap.
Okay.
Very much crap.
Okay, I'll probably ignore that room. And did you say that the passage kind of curves at some point down here?
It does. You're about halfway down it now, and when it gets to the end, it looks like it either is it ends like with another corridor of some kind, whether that's moving all the way north-south or turning one way or the other. You can't tell at this distance.
Okay, I'll head down to that corridor and have a look.
Okay, can you give me a vigilant roll at -1, please?
Okay. That's a 2, so yes.
There is a 100% identical alarm trap set up along the corridor just after the doorway to the debris room.
Okay. I'll do, if I can, I'll do the same thing. If it needs another person, I'll kind of call Stio over, as I guess he's behind, and say, there's another alarm here. We maybe cut the rope. I'll hold the metal scraps.
No, don't cut the rope. If we cut the rope, they'll know what direction we're taking. We're going to be followed. We just get everyone to step over it.
All right. Yeah.
I'll stay here. You move on ahead.
Okay. It seems like this could be the right way if they're still alarming it, so...
Take extreme care.
I will do. And I'll step over and try and get a look at this corridor.
Mm-hmm. You make it to the end of the corridor. The corridor just turns to the south. It turns to the south, and could I actually have another discreet roll from you, please?
Okay. That is a fail. 18 over 13.
Okay. You sort of get to the end of the corridor. As I say, you can see that it turns to the south. You can hear, as you reach the end, muffled voices. You can see a much brighter light coming from further down round this corner of the bend. And you kind of like slightly lean out from the corridor, and you catch motion. Do you think if you caught motion, you would like whip your head back?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
You do that, and you do not hear any, alarm being sent up or anything. But there's definitely, you think there's definitely multiple people in that direction. You caught a brief glimpse of a more brightly lit, larger chamber with individuals in it. Beyond that, it's hard to say. Oh, you're on mute, Sam.
I'm going to go to the rest of the group and very quietly describe what I've seen. There's definitely people down here. It's quite lit up. There's some kind of slightly larger area, but I couldn't get a good glimpse of it. But they are right there. They're just around that corner, or at least down that corner.
Have I pictured this right so far, Matt? In that when we came out of that first room, there was a junction, and Ascaris explored one corridor of that junction that's
correct.
Curved round.
100% correct.
But we haven't been the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should we explore the other passage as well?
I think we're in for a shilling and for a father. If they're in that room, we need to go in with the element of surprise.
But it might be good to know if there are reinforcements down the other side.
We know for a fact there are reinforcements coming, regardless of what direction they're coming from.
So we go in there, element of surprise, deal with whatever's in that room.
Is the idea to draw blades and charge in? You probably had your blades out already.
I guess aiming for sneak in or sneak as close as we can get, and then charge. Sneak as close as we can get. Let Ascarai shoot a few of them, and then charge.
Ascarai, you definitely think with the activity you saw in that room that corner at the end of the corridor is as far as you're getting without being seen.
Okay. They're close enough that I think our making it to that corner quietly is sneaking up on them already, basically. I think if we just charge from there, hopefully some of them won't have their weapons to hand. I mean, it's probably the best we're going to get unless we want to explore the other route. But as Steo says, we don't know how long we have down here before there's even more coming.
Come on, let's make a mess.
Okay. So describe to me the exact plan, because from some of your talking, I get the idea you're going to rush them. But Stephen seemed to be suggesting Ascarai stepping out and firing arrows until they run at him and then charging them.
Elindra hasn't seen the lay of the land around that corner, so
okay.
I'm comfortable with the fact that Elindra's plan may be total nonsense.
Okay, so is the idea just rush, all come around the corner at the same time, Ascarai firing as he goes, everyone else charging in? Is that the idea?
Sounds good.
Okay.
That sounds typical.
Yeah. Well, in that case, let me describe the room as you all duck round that corner. It is a large vault. The architecture looks very much the same as the rest of the complex, so it looks like Lindarian. There is relatively little furniture in this very large chamber, other than a stool on which someone is sitting and a table with some chairs by the entrance. There's also a tool bench on the far end, which is stacked with pliers, struts, forks, knives, clamps, and other instruments. The back area of the room is like on a higher flooring with a small set of stone steps leading up to it. And in the area just in front of where the individual is sitting on the stool, there is something drawn on the floor that you can't quite see where you are now. Over to the left, as you come in through the door, on the table and chairs are sat two individuals who are human, who look extremely surprised that you've come through the doorway, and stood further in the room, sat about, or a couple of them are stood directly by the individual on the stool, are a number of dwarves dressed identically to the dwarves you fought above. And as for the individual on the stool and how the layout of that back room looks, or the back of the chamber rather than a back room, I can. There we go. That's what that looks like.
Is that
a very old man with a long, somewhat well-groomed but slightly disheveled white beard, and clad in a heavy cloak with the hood up. He looks like he has been bound. His arms are behind his back.
Is that dwarves stood by him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, because you came round the corner, I am going to give you a. I'm just going to give you all straight up a free action. I think. I don't think there's any particular need to test for it or anything like that. So, with that in mind, John, could we have action order up, please? The dwarves. I don't know if you still have the dwarves from the last time. They are the same. Dwarf thugs.
I do.
You do. Then can you add to it? You don't know who they are now, so let's just call them humans. And they are at quick 11 and vigilant 11. But as always, I'm 100% sure that Askarai will go first regardless. So, Askarai, what are you doing? There are two of these humans who are quite near you, who look very surprised, and 7 dwarves arrayed near the back of the vault, who look slightly less surprised, but still quite surprised.
And then this figure that we see, who in this photo, at least in this picture, looks probably human, maybe? They are.
You think he's almost certainly human, yeah.
That's not one of the two humans you're describing as being surprised. They're okay.
Correct.
I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to shoot the closest people because I feel like my companions can probably reach the closest people and maybe hit them themselves. And if I shoot them, I sort of not being very good.
Mm-hmm.
I will shoot a dwarf that's like, slightly behind these two humans that are closer to where we are.
Sure, absolutely. In that case, can you give me a shot at a +1, please?
Okay, I will mark them as my hunter's instinct target to give me another try. That is a 4, which is a pass. And then, okay, I get.
Is this armor piercing or a double shot? By the way, sorry, you might have already said.
I think armor piercing because double shot requires. I don't know if we get a full turn or just an action.
Oh yeah, because you've moved. Yeah. That makes sense.
So armor piercing.
Armor piercing. Yeah, go for it.
This is 13 damage.
Woo! Well, that's definitely over the dwarf's pain throreshold.
Everyone else playing Symbaroum and he's playing flipping werewolf.
With that armor piercing. So take another regular shot, or knock them prone.
I will take another shot.
Sure. It's a +1.
That is another hit. My d20s are rolling very well today.
That's foreshadowing.
And I'm rolling 2 d4s because these are cultural beings and it's hunter's instinct. So this is, again, I think it's 12 damage.
12 damage, but this one is an armor piercing, so that reduces it to that. One of the dwarves collapses backwards with a cry, clutching at the 2 arrows stuck out of them. They are rolling in agony on the ground and do not seem likely to get back to their feet.
Nice.
One down. Elindra, to charge a dwarf, my favorite fantasy novel, would be 2 actions.
Right.
Which you could do, and then you would get your long attack on them. You could have a charge one of the humans and do your long and then a full attack. It's up to you.
My problem is that Elindra isn't yet convinced that those humans need to die.
Sure.
Whereas I think
you've already killed a bunch of dwarves.
We're going to be unlikely to talk the dwarves down. So I think like she's if she's got the free action, she's going the additional action from the element of surprise. She's going to use that to get to a dwarf.
Sure. If it helps encourage you, as a trained warrior, you're used to seeing what trained warriors' reactions to sudden violence are. The dwarves have them. The humans do not.
Yeah, they
look what like they're immediately struck with panic and stress, whereas the dwarves are like, okay, this is happening.
Yeah. So right. Elindra's going to focus on the people that she knows to be targets.
Okay. So charging the kind of the nearest dwarf.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the nearest one is probably that kind of like raised flooring, kind of like is at the back of the vault and also along the west side of it, coming up a bit. So you have to kind of like run up there. You take a leap to get up there, and there was a dwarf there who was like looking through the tools on the tool bench, and he's kind of whipped round and is sort of doing that, drops into that kind of like martial arts ready stance that you're familiar with the patrols above. So you can get your long strike on them if you want.
Yes, but that's all I can do, right? Because it's 2 movement to get to
correct. So that's a hit at +1.
Hit at +1. That is a hit. Needed a 16, got a 12. And just to be clear, did we say that the Revenant strike, is this still the same scene?
I'm happy for you to still have your Revenant strike.
Awesome. Cool. So that's D12 plus 2D4 plus 1. 18.
Oof.
That went well.
That's not like armor cancelling or anything, is it?
No, I'm saving up for that, but I don't have that.
Okay. I mean, obviously it's over the dwarves' pain threshold still.
Wonderful.
So with that in mind, would you like to knock them prone or take another attack?
Let's take another attack.
Okay, give me another attack at +1 then, please.
Okie dokie. That's a miss. Oh, but we do have the
backswing.
the back swing. So you use the returning swing. So new attack roll, but it's only going to do D8 damage.
Okay.
That is a hit. I don't know if I get the plus.
No. It's
just D8.
You literally.
I rolled an 8.
If it says this ability or whatever does this much damage, it's not an attack, and it just does the damage that's listed on there.
Cool. Then I rolled an 8, so 8.
Perfect. Literally, that was you needed an 8. You leap up and slash a gaping rent in the torso of the dwarf with your first cut. They kind of like try to slip to one side and then like drop down to one knee in pain. And you kind of bring your sword back round in a whirl overhand and basically chop the top of their head off with a backswing of readying it again. It's very intimidating.
That is what Elindra will be going for, yeah.
Aridar. Like I said, the dwarves are 2 movement away. The humans are 1, and I know you don't have a long strike. I don't know what you want to do.
I think the humans sort of didn't seem like they were about to attack immediately, right?
Correct. I mean, the dwarf. It wasn't that I was saying the humans aren't going to fight back. It was more that I was saying the humans seemed less immediately well prepared to be jumped violently than the dwarves. The dwarves had a more immediate gut reaction to your appearance than the humans did.
Okay. I was wondering about making the one movement towards the humans, trying to talk them down from any violence they may be about to attempt, and preparing myself for the dwarves coming in.
Well, you can wonder all you want, but there's only one way to find out what will happen if you do it.
Yeah, and luckily there's 2 of them, so that's the exact number that I am happy with fighting. So I'm going to do that.
Okay, so you are moving to... Are you actually engaging with them?
No.
But you're kind of just moving towards them to be near them, but you're not moving within combat range of them.
Yes.
Okay. And then what are you going to say in order to try and...
I will say something like, we do not wish for unnecessary bloodshed. do not
sit scattered across the ground.
Unnecessary bloodshed. Please, sirs, do not raise your weapons at us.
Okay. Can you give me a persuasive roll at -3, please?
Yeah, that's fair. That is a success.
Okay.
Right on target, 8 and 8.
Okay. Well, being as it's their turn next, they kind of look... They share a very panicked glance at each other. And both women kind of like, one of them remains seated, but kind of like raises her hands in the air. And the other one kind of like backs off out of her chair and stands kind of behind the other one. And kind of like holds a hand up and says, "We didn't know it would be as bad as it was." Dwarf Thug time. My favorite mid-90s hip hop album. So there are 5 dwarves remaining. And Elindra is the primary person in range. So I think that it's quite likely that let's deal with two of them charging Alindra first.
Goody.
So they're going to do their exciting wrestling stuff. So yeah. Stephen, could you roll strong at -5, please?
Yes.
Oh, hang on. Do you you get a long? Do you get
I'm gonna get a long on both of these as they come into range. Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if we want to deal with that first or.
Yeah, let's deal with that first. So let's deal with the first one of them first. So take an attacker +1.
Cool. That is a 1. Hey.
Okay, so that's what was that? Plus D4.
D6 on the damage roll, is it?
That's a good question. Where's my cheat sheet?
That's what the
It's been
cheat
a while,
sheet
folks.
says.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. 18.
Obviously past their pain threshold. Why don't you give me another attack? I assume you want another attack rather than prone.
Yeah, we don't. Prone's no good, is it? Yes, that's another hit. I guess the next attack roll is just a normal one, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not with the D6. 10.
Yeah, I assume you hit with it.
Yes, yeah, I did.
Yeah. 10. Oof, good lord. Is that right? No, it's not. Yeah, one of them runs towards you and you flash them across the throat and then stab them as their body tumbles to the ground. The other one is still coming at you, though, so do you want to make another
Let's go again.
roll at +1?
That is a hit. That is 12 damage.
Okay. That is still over their pain threshold.
Wonderful. Let's go again.
Okay.
That's another hit.
Jesus Christ.
But this one is only a 7.
Only a 7? Okay. Then they actually get to you.
Cool.
So could you roll a strong roll at -5, please?
I don't wanna. Okay, I need a 10. I got a 1.
Oh my God.
Dice say no, Matt.
Yeah. Well, they have already been sliced significantly by your whirling blade by the time they make contact with you, and they desperately try to clamp their arms around yours to restrain you, and then give a kind of grunt of pain and slide off, their hands slick with blood. So they're not having any luck with you. Similarly, two of them are going to run at Arindar. So Aaron, you don't get to do the thing. So can you just make a strong roll at -5, please?
That is a fail.
Okay. One of the dwarves kind of half runs, half leaps from the higher flooring at the back, basically on you, and almost immediately wraps their legs around your waist and kind of I'll say this in terms that John will understand. They basically put a kind of standing cattle mutilation on you.
Yeah,
where
that's
your
cool.
arms are kind of they wrap their arms around yours and then twist so that your arms are kind of coming in the wrong direction over your head. Yeah, they've got you locked down basically, and you're not going to get loose until you beat a strong roll, or obviously someone gets them off you in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the other one is going to hit you twice as they kind of skid to the ground in front of you and slam kind of one fist after the other into your abdomen. So if you could give me 2 defense rolls, please, at a -5.
Okay. I'm guessing, as I don't have use of my hands, that my defense bonus for my parrying dagger is not in effect. That's what I'd probably say.
I think that's overly fiddly.
Fair enough. Okay, so target of 10. That is a pass. And that is a pass. Ooh, actually, I would have liked my last one to have been a quick roll, so that I dodge the first one and then use acrobatics to turn around and have the one on my back take the last hit.
Okay. I'm happy for you to do that, but I would like it to be declared before the roll.
That is
so instead. So I'm happy for you to do that, but can you re-roll, please?
Yes.
I know it makes no difference. I know it makes no difference mathematically, folks. It's just a
declaration thing. Yeah, I get it.
A declaration thing. And if I'm happy for you to redo, but if you redo, especially if you pass already, you gotta re-roll it.
That is a pass. That is
a pass. Absolutely. In that case, that deals that much damage to that one, which is not in their pain threshold. So I'm going to judge that they do not lose their grip on you. But yeah, you basically like skip backwards from the first fist that comes towards you and then kind of like whirl round, and it's less that you put them in position of the punch and more that you kind of block the punch with their body as it comes around. They just hit at the same time. You hear a gruff dwarven voice in your ear say something you don't understand that sounds very much like a curse word. Steo. No, go on.
Is my being grappled enough to stop me from attacking?
Yeah. You can't. You can't. The enemy cannot act until the wrestler fails a strong test. But I felt that I made the call that I think you blocking them with their friend's body felt very appropriate in the position they had you. So I was like, I'll let you do that. But no, you can't.
That makes sense.
Act
can't
otherwise.
That's fine.
No.
Yep.
No riposte. Steo, what you up to? There's one free dwarf. Oh no, I should. That other dwarf should do a thing, I suppose. Then, that other dwarf is going to make a double movement and come in contact with Ascarai, but can't do anything.
Okay.
And now it's you, Steo. There, literally all that is left is there is a very badly wounded dwarf fighting Alindra. Aaron is in the grip of another one, and another one is desperately trying to punch Arendar, and Ascarai has just kind of engaged with one, but they haven't really fought yet.
So I think, did I clock the little sundog sparkles around Ascarai?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and Tom kind of mentioned that he'd done it, so yeah.
So I think the decision is to maybe cause just a little bit of chaos in those attacking Aaron. So am I going to just the one who's attacking him or the one who's binding him?
I'm going to judge here because we haven't done this yet, and it's not part of the rules. But I think if you're going to stab someone binding someone, there's a certain risk attached.
My damage is dog shit anyway, so I feel like that's a risk I could probably take.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it's more useful for everyone for Aaron to be able to act. I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to charge the shit out of the one who's grappling him and take my long action to have a crack.
That seems fair enough. Sam, you're the group expert on this. When I have you fire into combat, is it on 20s that you hit your friends, or it's not misses, is it?
That is what we've been playing. If it's into combat, it's on a 20.
Yeah, that makes sense then. Okay, then Chris, if you could roll to hit at +1, please. 18. So just a regular old miss then.
Yeah, regular miss, thank goodness.
So are you? I'm assuming you're just engaging and not like staying out of range.
Well,
so you
that
can
was my
kind of strike.
long attack, so
yeah.
I think I'm engaged with them.
Yeah. In that case, take another shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you get to it. It's one movement, and then you get. It's only one movement to reach.
I thought they were 2 movements away.
They were when they were on the other side of the room, but they ran over to grapple with Aaron. So
okay, let's get him spiked. 16 plus 1 is 15. Minus 1 from elderly is 16. Plus 1 from accurate on the weapon is 15, which is a hit.
okay, I don't follow that, but I believe you. Okay, let's roll for damage then, please.
That's 8 damage. 7 plus 1.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely poke a hole in that dwarf.
Mission accomplished.
They again. Oh, hang on. What's going on here? No, that. I've wounded the wrong dwarf. Yeah. You stab them fairly deeply in kind of their haunches, and there's quite a bit of blood splattering on the ground. But they do not look like they're about to give up that death grip they've got on Arendar's arms anytime soon. So there we go. Sam, what's Anton going to do?
Anton definitely knows that Askray has a blessed shield. I think he's gonna go over and try and help release Arendar, especially if there's a bit of flanking perhaps involved at this point. I'm not sure if there is or not. Maybe there's not. But still, he's gonna go and try and help Arendar.
Yeah, I don't think either the dwarf gripping Aaron or Aaron count for flanking purposes because they're just one wrapped up entity at this point.
Sure.
But if Anton went over, then Steo is now flanking, right? So I think roughly, the other dwarf is there. There's twice as. Yeah, I'm gonna say that Anton will get a flanking hit on this dwarf. So that's
nice.
Plus 3.
Okay. I think it's a plus 2 because it's a normal advantage. I think.
Yeah, but it's the default defense is plus 1. So
okay, yeah.
I'm taking it's plus 3.
That is a 5, which is going to hit. And the damage. Let me double check. I think it's a D8.
I think it's D8 plus 1, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
That just sounds very familiar.
Yeah. Oh,
doesn't his flail have like a quality of some kind?
He has a heavy flail. It's actually a D10, 1d10. The quality is jointed, which is the like if he fails, he gets the try again. That is a 7 on his D10.
Not too bad.
Oh, is it? If it's flanking, is it also plus a D4?
That sounds familiar.
Yes.
It's been a while, folks. Yeah, plus a D4.
Yes.
Which
is a 3. So 10.
So 10 in total?
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, not past its pain threshold. With a great crack that, honestly, Aaron, you can probably... It doesn't hurt you, but it certainly sends you staggering forwards. The flail crashes into the back of the dwarf, who lets out a kind of very loud, pained yell, and you're fairly sure that some bones were broken with that. But the grip is very much now feels like a death grip. Like this dwarf is not letting go until, he lets go of this mortal coil. So there we go. But that's Anton's turn. So let's go back round to the beginning. Askarai, you are in close combat with a dwarf.
I think Askarai is going to choose to move backwards away from the dwarf and then shoot them.
Okay, so the dwarf gets a free swing at you. So give me a defense roll at -5, please.
Okay. 11 all that. Which is a 17, which fails.
Okay. Then an armor roll, please.
Which is 2d4 plus a d6 from Anton. That is 8 armor.
Which is precisely what you need. As you back away, you feel the dwarf's fist kind of like slam into your midsection, but because you're moving backwards, like all the kind of like momentum of it is gone by the time they hit you, and you manage to take a few paces back and presumably raise your bow, and bad things are going to happen. So it's got to be the armor piercing, right? Because you've moved.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
take your armor piercing shot at +1.
Okay, I will do my hunter's instinct on them as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 2, so definitely a hit. And the damage is 9 damage.
Okay, that's past their pain threshold. Are we firing again or knocking prone?
I will fire again.
Mm-hmm. That's a +1.
That's a 12, which hits. And the damage is 9, but not armor piercing this time.
Okay. We have previously decided that pain threshold hits don't stack, right? I think we quite recently decided that because like it didn't happen that often up until recently, and now it's happening all the time. But I think the notion that you're just like, like machine gunning does not make any sense. I think getting one free shot is powerful enough.
Yeah.
And obviously the same would apply for enemies. The dwarf has 2 arrows in them and has kind of like staggered back and is kind of looking down at the arrows sticking out of their abdomen with a little bit of confusion and a lot of pain. Elindra, you have a quite badly wounded dwarf you were engaged with.
I think we will attempt to put him out of our misery.
Okay, attack a +1, please.
Yeah, that's a hit. 13.
Okay.
14.
Sure. The first would have been enough. They attempt to, while losing quite a lot of blood, attempt to drop into that kind of grappling stance again and move towards you. You take a back step and thrust out with the right timing, impale them on your blade. They give a soft grunt and slide to the floor, and you can take a movement if you want.
Great. So we've got who's left? There's like a couple on.
One very badly dwarf a few feet in front of Askarai. There is one very badly wounded dwarf clinging onto Arindar, and another unwounded one sort of facing off with him and Steo and Anton.
So let's head towards the unwounded one that's facing off.
Okay, then you get your long attack as you engage. And it's
wonderful.
A long attack with flanking as well, I would say.
Great. So that's what.
That's going to be an attack at +3.
It's a hit without the. I didn't need the flanking anyway to hit.
Fair enough. But because it's a flanking hit, you get an extra D4.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not a D. Is it a D4? No, it's just a +2. No, yeah, it is a D4
on the damage. Okay. Yeah.
So another D4 to add to your handful of D4s.
13.
Okay, that's over their pain threshold.
I've sometimes on some sessions these builds kind of come together, don't they?
Yeah. You've all been rolling very well.
Yes, the dice have been kind tonight. That is a hit. 11.
Okay. Minus that. Yeah. Okay, with 2 great swipes of your blade, the dwarf is like backing off away with one arm basically hanging on by a thread, and a great rent down their side, kind of leading down to their thigh. Arindar, Give me a strong check at -5, please.
Okay. That is a fail, but I have Escape Artist as a boon, which means I can re-roll to escape grapples. So I'm going to roll again.
Let's do that.
Which is a success.
Okay. You shed the dwarf off, rolling at the right tempo to make them sort of crash. Well, not on the ground because it's actually not them prone. They kind of drop to the ground and then roll back up. What are you going to do? There's 2 pretty wounded dwarves in front of you.
I think I will try and stab the one that I just threw off me.
Okay. Attack at +1, please.
Ooh, +1. That is a hit. Do I get flanking damage?
Yeah.
Then let's roll a d4 as well.
Oh, do you? No.
We're all sort of engaged together, don't we? No.
No, and you have to have twice the numbers.
And it's
Remember,
3
it's
and
not-
2 now, right?
Yeah.
Right. Then that is only 3 damage.
Okay. Your blade actually, they're still skidding along the floor as you thrust. You make contact, but your blade doesn't actually manage to pierce their hardened leather. And they kind of like back up and away from you. The 2 humans kind of like are really seem taken aback by the violence of all this. And one of them shouts out, "Please stop! No one else has to die." I am now going to roll for the dwarf thugs. I'm going to roll. See, this is the kind of thing where the game is like, "Hey, you never have to roll," and then it's like, maybe roll resolute if you want to see if they. And it's like, okay. God, this has been an absolute pasting. I'm going to give him a malus on this as well. Do I want to give them that much? I'll give them that much. We're going to carry on. Steo, you're already engaged with 2 of them. There's not a lot in it. One of them just got thrown off by Arendar, and the other one didn't. Oh, no, they get a turn. Never mind.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's actually their turn. Never mind. Okay. Because I just rolled a resolute and then didn't actually take actions for them. Ascarai, the one is going to charge into close combat with you and make 2 attacks on you, please. So 2 defense rolls at -5.
Okay. That is 1 pass and 1 fail.
Okay, armor roll, please.
Okay. That is 8 armor.
Okay. Again, you feel the blow hit, but it's somewhat tangled up in your lindworm cloak and doesn't seem to do any damage to you. One of them is going to strike out at Arendar, which is probably something they'll deeply regret. Could you make a defense roll at -5, please, Aaron?
So I just want to double check because I haven't looked at my results yet. We have previously said that I can attempt to roll defense, and then if that fails, I can then attempt to roll acrobatics. Is that still the case?
This isn't a grapple.
What?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I don't really know what you're talking about. Sorry. I'm just asking for a defense roll. I don't really know where the acrobatics is coming from.
Because I can, instead of taking the hit, roll acrobatics, but we've previously done it that I could try the defense and then do the acrobatics, like as an extra roll.
Yeah, like when we develop stuff for people's abilities and make decisions, I need players to remember them because I can't remember everyone's decisions. Can you read out the text of the acrobatics thing?
Character can utilize its enemy's shields in battle. In combat with more than one opponent, the character may once per turn use an enemy as a shield and have that enemy suffer a successful hit instead of the character. That opponent cannot defend against the attack, but the Master Acrobat has to make a successful roll against the quick for the enemy to take the hit.
I mean, the text. See, I remember us having a debate about this a month or two ago,
Mhm.
and we're just going to have the same debate again. So I like what the text seems to suggest to me. See, this is the thing. I remember you reading that out last time, and then I looked at the text, and it was different.
Oh.
And I wonder if there's been like errata or something. So let me quickly read it in the abilities thing. It's master, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In combat with more than one opponent, the character may once per turn use an enemy as a shield and have that enemy suffer a successful hit instead of the character.
So it has to be a successful hit.
It has to be a
Oh, yeah.
successful hit already. Yeah.
So you have to have failed a defense roll to be able to do that.
Excellent. Good. I just want to make sure I didn't need to declare acrobatics at the beginning.
Okay.
All of that, I failed my defense.
Okay.
So I'm going to try
So
acrobatics.
now you make it. Is it a quick roll or a opposed quick roll?
It just says quick, I think. Where is it?
Yeah, it just says quick. Yeah, fine. Go on.
Target of 14. Hit a 4. So that is a success.
That is a success. Yeah, they can't defend. Yeah, sure. So you step between the two dwarves who were kind of trying to gang up on you. The one who rolled off you kind of measures you and strikes out what seems to be a very powerful blow with like a kind of like a folded palm. You slip under that into the side, and their palm smacks into the back of the head of the other dwarf, who crashes to the ground face first with an unpleasant cracking, snapping noise and lies still on the ground. Okay, so that dwarf, I don't have to figure out what they do because you just made their friend kill them. And we call you the conscience.
You monster.
I didn't make anyone do anything.
And we already dealt with Askrai. So Steo, there's only one dwarf left in your group.
Yeah, I guess that's the pokey time. So +1 still, yeah.
+3 because of flanking.
Well, that's hang on, wait, that is hang on. That's a success.
Okay, give me a damage roll, please.
Boom. Oh, sadness. That's 2.
Okay. You managed to strike out at them, but as part of this kind of like wheeling movement with which they inadvertently struck their companion, your spear glances off the heavy leather on their shoulders, and you do not manage to wound them. Anton, who's also in the same combat, is going to maybe have a go.
Yep. He'll have a swing with his flail, which is a hit. He rolled a 9. The damage is a d10, which is only 2.
Okay. Doing that thing again when we reach the end and we can't kill the things with tiny amounts of toughness left. And then that'll go on forever because it's Askrai and Alindra next. Okay, yeah. Anton swings out but can't get enough momentum behind the flail hit with the movement of the dwarf to cause any serious damage. Okay, Askrai, come on. You are in close combat, but still.
Yeah. This is probably unnecessarily risky, but in the interest of finishing this off, I will again step away and take a free attack.
Make a defense first at -5, then, please.
Okay, that is a 5, which passes. Now I can shoot him.
Okay. Yep. That's a +1.
Which does hit. And the damage is 11.
Yeah. That dwarf drops with an arrow to the throat. Elindra, save us from this eternal dwarf torment.
I'm going to befriend the dwarf. No.
Have you
I'm
got
not-
befriend dwarf adept or higher?
No, but I do have a really big flaming sword. So,
Second best thing.
yeah.
Cool.
which
Yeah, attack at +3.
Yeah, that's a hit. Oh, yeah, this will do it. 15.
Yeah. Your sword arcs round and the flaming tip severs through the throat of the dwarf. There is a gout of blood and they crash back to the ground. The only sound in the room afterwards is kind of mildly horrified breathing and gasps from the humans. Askarai, you're probably the person best placed to see. The old man on the stool has not moved, and his facial expression has not changed one bit.
Worrying. I think Esco would say to the humans, who are you? Who is this man?
We are the woman talking is the one who kind of stood up behind the other. She's a relatively young woman with kind of like longish red hair. She says, "Oh, I'm not reaching for anything for a weapon. What is everyone's stance like at this point? Actually, like how threatening are we being, or are we just like wiping our blades off, happy that like there's no resistance left, or are we being threatening? Or I'm just interested. In fact, I'm going to go through each of you because this is something we don't really talk about a lot. And let's just run left to right. I didn't put myself in the middle as the most important person. That's unusual of me. What's Arendar doing?
Arendar is still holding his blades because of the fear of reinforcements from the doorway, but he is standing or attempting to stand in a non-threatening manner as much as you can while holding a sword and a knife.
Sure, maybe like the sword over your shoulder, or like even in a kind of like, I don't know what I imagine a kind of like 18th century fencers kind of like
tip resting on the
floor, kind of like sort of slightly fancy.
Yeah, I think maybe I'll be moderately less threatening and put my dagger away, but
sure.
Yeah, sword, like sort of, but not quite leaning on it.
Yeah. Steo, how about you?
Steo is in the room, obviously, is kind of taken up position by the main entrance, is not cleaning his spear off, and is leaning against the wall, looking like the most threatening stick of meat you've ever seen.
Fair enough. How about Elindra?
I think it's quite rare for Elindra not to look imposing, and she is currently soaked in the blood of several dwarves. So, like, I don't think there's a friendly face that she could put on this, but like, she's not going out of her way to be intimidating. I think she's probably moving towards the doorway as well, and kind of making it clear that nobody is coming out of or into this room without her say so.
Okay. How about Askarai?
I think Askarai is focused on this guy who's tied up, probably not with a bow like drawn at him, but close to that. He's worried about him, and seems like there's a reasonable chance this is the person that we're chasing, who could be very, very dangerous, and is mostly focused on keeping a very close eye on them.
That seems fair enough. Well, if there's no threatening gestures or orders otherwise from anyone, the young woman kind of reaches into kind of her clothing and with a shaking hand draws out the carved symbol of the Ordo Magica that many members of the Ordo Magica wear. I was a teacher, just a teacher. And well, I wanted to be an explorer, an adventurer. Things have gotten terribly out of hand.
That would be a fair assessment.
My name's Melia. This is Lorenda. The other one kind of like nods. She's also kind of fumbled and is showing like an Ordo Magica symbol. They're holding it in front of you, kind of like a shield, you know, like we fell in with a Prius. You'll want the whole story, won't you?
I think we've got about half of it, but if you want to fill in the details.
What will you do with us after?
That depends. It depends on a lot of things, really. We've killed a lot of people today. I'd like to get some dinner and sleep tonight. So there's a good chance you'll walk out of here alive. Not a great chance, but a good chance.
We were part of a group. We met at night to plan expeditions into Davakar, looking for Symbar. It was mostly talk. We met at a tavern called the Mystic's Apprentice in the Temple District. That's where our master found us. He knew a great deal about Symbarian history, the dangers of Davakar, and very quickly became a frequent guest at the table. After a while, we grew to trust him, and he introduced himself to us and offered to take us under his wing as a teacher and a guide in the search for the heart of Davakar. You have to understand this kind of thing. In the Ordo, it's very common. It seemed normal.
We've been under the employ of your order enough to know that this stuff is normal. Ritual magic isn't, though, is it?
Would you like to change that to ceremonial magic?
Yes, apologies.
Because ritual magic is very normal, but ceremonial magic is... I know a ceremony is kind of just a big ritual, but like, yeah. No, it isn't.
Your charge here, you have him under enchantment, or is he just a silence type?
He has no mystic bonds. Our master, he did not answer questions about himself or his past, but he calls himself Artel. We assumed he was the mage who crushed the Dark Lords during the Battle of Haras. And his sentence was never carried out. She's like kind of looking around at you all. Are any of you kind of like betraying anything? Like, are any of you giving over perhaps that you are aware of who Artel is? To try and tease more information, or like, because hiding it could be valuable, but also going, yes, tell us more. We know about Artel.
Aaron's doing a sort of general, like, sympathetic, tell me more, I'm on your side kind of expression. Not necessarily as a reaction to Artel, just because that's his face, I think.
Yeah, I think Alindra's probably like sufficiently unaware of her facial expressions in this moment that she will give away that she recognizes the name and isn't that surprised to hear it in this context.
Sure. He was absent for long periods of time. We did not know exactly what he was planning, only that we needed to gather at a certain place, perform a number of predetermined tasks. He said that he would carry out mystic rituals, ceremonies that would enable us to do this. He said there may be some damage and perhaps some people would be hurt, but that it was necessary. We didn't know. We barely escaped with our own lives. He just told us, bring the prisoner. Bring the prisoner to the bakery. And then they brought us here. I don't even know who these dwarves are. The master, he said on several occasions that we'll soon be leaving Ambria and he'd know the way to Symbar. But, well, that is all.
And was the plan for your master to meet you here?
He did meet us here. He met us here. Been down here for hours and hours. He met us here last night. Would it be last night? No. He met us here this morning. And he said he would return tomorrow. That is all. That is all we know.
Well, can I just... you mentioned there were markings on the floor. Can we get just a little bit more detail about that now we're in the light?
Yes, and in point of fact, Anton has already stepped over and is kind of like taking a little look at the man on the stool from a little distance and a look at the markings on the ground. They certainly look like... They don't mean anything to you, Steo, but they look like Mystic Order Magicka markings. And Tom is looking over them and kind of purses his lips as if he's noticed something.
Are they just on the floor, like in the middle of the room? Are they around the guy?
Let me get a precise answer on that. They are on a circle on the floor in front of the man on the stool. They're not surrounding him.
Okay.
It would be large enough for maybe a few people to stand in, if that were the purpose of it.
Okay.
Elindra has some questions for the human, so I think she... We found a note with instructions. M and L directly to Barlack with the prisoner. That's you two?
Yes.
The directions from the hideout, that was the goblin. From the bakery.
The dwarf.
Was it the dwarf?
There was a goblin at the bakery who saw...
Oh, who saw? Yeah.
They weren't part of the...
Buhaluk.
Yeah.
The note says S and F, cover/plant tracks. Who are they?
Our companions. We saw them die.
Where?
At the cathedral. There were 2 bodies that you found this note on at the cathedral.
Inside the cathedral?
Outside the cathedral.
Outside the cathedral.
Yeah, and what were their names?
For fuck's sake. What were the initials again?
S and F.
S and F.
Simon and Fredo. No.
Cool.
Do you want me to tell you?
This down?
No.
The fact that I have to come up with them will give you the indication.
Yeah,
of how
that tells me the
unimportant
information I wanted. It's fine.
Yeah, they give you 2 basic Ambrian names that begin with S and F.
Excellent. I'm trying so hard not to have 2 new favorite characters, but at least
Well, they're dead.
Dead,
so-
yeah,
right.
they're already dead. So
Yeah.
you've got that in your favor,
Yeah.
and you don't know anything about who the prisoner is.
No. We know that Master Artel wanted to talk to him. It was
Really
an
wanted to
important
talk to
part
him.
of the plan, he said.
Okay.
Has he said anything in all this time that you've been with him? You must have been with him for days now.
He spoke to the Master this morning. Otherwise, he said nothing.
What did he say to the master, or were you not here for that?
We were told to stand clear.
Okay.
I'm gonna look
The
over
man-
at Tom and kind of
The man on the stool is watching you all very calmly with still cold eyes.
What do you two think should happen to you now?
If Ambria's justice is done, then our lives are forfeit.
think you might have killed more people than us over the last couple of days, so or at least your part in this has.
All we can tell you is if you choose to release us and not turn us in, then you will never see us again, and neither will the people of Indaros.
And another pair of rogue mages would owe us a favor.
I should hope that there would be a way that the fact that you clearly had no idea what you were doing could be used in your favor.
I think they need the opportunity to argue their case. But I think that means to do that, we have to take them in.
And Tom, what did you make of the circle?
It has been disturbed. It's very
By us?
subtle. No, we were nowhere near this. It's very subtle. Someone has marked through it. I don't know what it's for. I'm not an expert on wizardry. But someone has ruined it. The man on the chair glances over at Anton and in an odd, thickly accented voice says, I did.
Why?
I did not wish my captor to work the magics he was attempting.
And what kind of magic was that?
That is a question we would both like the answer to. What do you want with me? Who has Lawmaster? Do you have Lawmaster now, Steo?
I do, actually.
Then I want a cunning test from you and Anton, please.
Not my department, Gov.
And Tom rolled a 2.
Anton stands and kind of angles his head for a moment and then kind of glances round and kind of glances at Steo for a moment. And in quite a quiet voice says, "You are from Leastra." "We can talk, but not here. We must go to a secure location, shielded from eyes, ears, mystical perception. You, me, no one else. Then we will talk." He's the "you" he said was you, not Anton.
That's why normal languages have a you plural.
Where do you want to speak?
He didn't seem to have anywhere in mind, just saying
Okay.
somewhere safe. The main thing, I mean, here is technically, well, if you get rid of the two adepts in one manner or another, here
It's
would tick the box.
temporarily safe.
Well, it's not shielded from mystical perception. That kind of thing would need a ritual of some kind, one which none of you are capable of doing.
Oh, well, my foreign mystical friend, I would like to know, were you a resident in your well-appointed apartment, or were you a prisoner there? Making the assumption that this is the guy who was under the cathedral, but we're about to find out.
No, he's looking at you in slight bafflement, as he's literally just said that he won't talk until we're in a safe place. He gives a small shrug of his shoulders and says, "We can talk when we are secure."
Okay. I think we're on the clock, my friends. Once again.
We need to be out of here. We probably need to be back here later, but right now, we're going to go. All of us.
You two, Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. I have not yet decided, I don't think anyone has, if we're handing you over to the authorities or if we're letting you run for it. But for the meanwhile, I reckon there's something pretty bad coming because we did not get in here on scene. So for the moment, we're going to need your assistance to get out of here safely. And then that'll put you in good stead. I'd vouch for you if you could do something that useful.
It's worth noting, incidentally, that what they said is perfectly accurate. That like putting in a good word for them is you are fully aware they have like nearly killed a member of the royal house, whether they knew they were doing it or not, like by association. Like if you hand them in, 100% their future is torture and then death. So it's up to you.
No, I get that, and I don't think Steel hasn't made his mind up.
I just wanted. I didn't know if we thought like, you know, we hand them in the city guard. Well, but they didn't know what they were doing. Off you go. You know what I mean? I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same level.
What could I make a guess at what would happen if we handed them over to the Ordo Magica?
The Ordo Magica would I don't know. At a best guess, the Ordo Magica would torture them to get, or magically compel them to get all the information they could out of them, and then they would hand them over to the authorities. They're also inadvertently responsible for the death of the Ordo Magic, the Grand Master of the Ordo Magica.
Yeah.
They're also exactly the people that we were tasked with finding.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm not saying, oh, definitely don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm saying that I don't want it to seem like a kind of like,
That there's a way that this is going to end well for them if we hand them over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can
Well,
say to them,
wherever we're
if-
going, we can't be here. So shall we get out of here? And can someone please cut that man's bonds?
cut his
You
bonds.
ain't getting him up that rope ladder without cutting his bonds. That's for sure.
Elinja will go over and cut the ropes.
Okay. You, I take it we are making our way out of this the plob as fast as we possibly can. Okay. Herding your captives, I suppose. The old man kind of like stands to his feet. He looks a little creaky, but he's quite tall and quite powerful looking considering his age. Not unlike Steo, like an older man who's kept his like a large muscular man who's aged but kind of kept his form very much. Keeping presumably the captives in the middle of the group, you make your way through the passageways and to the rope ladder. You manage to clamber up that, and then you find yourself in the courtyard. Are you escaping the same way you came in? And thus picking up Revelia on the way would probably be a good idea.
Yeah, I think so.
It seems overly complex, but it also avoids the doors.
Yeah. There is no sign of any dwarven reinforcements. As you make your way through to the middle section, Revelia lets a rope down for you. You all clamber up. The Ordo Adepts struggle a little bit, as does the prisoner, more from stiffness, from being bound on a chair for a day, than any sense of incapability. You make your way up to the roof. Can I remember what kind of time it was when all this started?
I think we are now getting quite close to curfew.
I think you're
time.
getting pretty close to the curfew, yeah. Because the curfew is a curfew at 1 a.m. or something like that, or 11.
It was 11. It was pretty early.
Yeah, I feel like we were
midnight. It's midnight to the 5th glass, so midnight till 5 a.m.
I feel like we were late afternoon, early evening when we went in, but it's been.
I think it was evening. I think the sun was starting to go down.
Yeah.
As you were fighting, so I think it's not midnight yet, but it's starting to move in that direction. So, you make your way down the ladder from the as you're kind of like clambering down.
Elinja would like to be among go down the ladder before the prisoners, and be waiting at the bottom to bind their hands at street level.
All 3 of them.
Definitely the Ordo. I don't know about the old guy. Like I would, other than a vague feeling that he's probably someone quite powerful and dangerous, we don't have a reason to bind his hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Elinja will bind the hands of the Ordo people as they come down, and just those 2. And if somebody else wants to jump in with the old guy, then they can.
I think I will bind the old man's hands because we do think he was a prisoner, so he should probably be tied up. I'm not sure whether it would actually make a difference, but I think we should do it anyway.
Yeah. Binding the old man's hands is my favorite drone folk song. So you find yourself in the if I can remember the actual district this is in, that would be awesome. It is Newtown. the most northwesterly part of Indaros. Yeah, you can definitely make it to most places in the city, certainly to the tower, before curfew. It's probably maybe about 10 in the evening now, so you maybe got a couple of hours. But there's a big question mark here. Like, I can imagine taking the prisoner back to the tower might be a thing to do, or to some other undisclosed safe location. But what about these two? What about the two adepts? What are we doing with them? You've just bound their hands. You've got to lead them through the street with bound hands. That's obvious. Like, they're not. You're not going to hide that. So what are we doing with them?
I think we take them all back to the tower. If anyone questions us, we have the seal of the
You do.
Duchess Princess and get them back to the tower.
Yeah, we're not handing these over to like city guard or anything like that.
Okay.
May I suggest we try our alternative lodgings for tonight? You know, just for fun.
You had
Which-
a chit given to you by envoy. It's not Mulgar, is it? The barbarian envoy in Ravenna. Duke Inadar's betrothed, who gave you a pass to a place called, I want to say it's called Zoltar's something. It's a barbarian inn called, come on.
Yeah,
Zoltar. It's called Zoltar's Inn. Yeah. And you know what? It's actually real close.
And
It's actually real close.
we've got a pass to stay there.
You do.
Yep.
Then let's go there.
And I would point out that your location at the tower is definitely known by at least one interested party, because he turned up there apropos of nothing at breakfast time this morning. So,
I think that's the plan then.
That makes sense. I am just looking because there is more detail about Zoltar's, so I just want to look it up.
Yeah, sorry for airdropping a completely new location on you.
No.
But
It is in fact an extremely smart move. So yeah, I think that's a very good thing. So you very quickly arrive with. There is definitely some glances you get from people passing you. That you're taking some people with who are kind of bound up or have their hands bound, but no one looks at you too long. Presumably, you know, I'd imagine many of these newly drafted city guard don't have uniforms, so maybe over the past couple of days, people have gotten more used to people being taken through the street with bound hands by people who don't seem to have any outward authority.
Elindra's also, it's worth reiterating, 6 foot something, and
yeah,
I think at this point
as
dripping with blood. Like,
yeah.
I think if anybody kind of wants to like glance askance at us, she will just look back at them until they go about their business. Like,
no, absolutely. So Zoltar's Inn is quite a tall building. It's housed in a Lindarian ruin, and the you know what? Let's make a cunning roll, and let's make the cunning roll as Sam stepped away. Cunning roll is for Antom and Ascarai, so we'll wait till he gets back.
I could roll for Antom if needed because I have his character.
Yeah, go on.
Cunning, you say? That's a pass.
Okay. As you're approaching it, and I'm going to excitingly show you a picture of it, which we haven't had so far. There we go. There's Zoltar's Inn.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Sam, you are back. Can Ascarai roll cunning, please?
Yes. That is a 10, which just makes it.
Okay, then both Anton and Ascarai recognize that this, as you start entering it, the decor and some of the work that's been done on the outside of the building seems to have been done to attempt to resemble the windowless residence of the chieftain of Clan Vajvod, also known as the Stone Fortress of Vojvodaz, or Vojvodar? Vojvodar. Neither Anton nor Ascarai have been to the lands of the Vajvod, but it's quite a famous structure in the southeast of Davakar. And obviously, there's some links to the envoy there, perhaps. She is of Clan Vajrod, as is her father, the chieftain of the fortress. You walk in, there are roaring fires, which you can see there. Like the entire bottom area is open, just like open stone arches with like essentially small bonfires around which people can sit and talk and drink and eat and so on and so forth. A cheery woman behind a stone desk, essentially, or bar, really, looks over in your direction and gives you a friendly wave. There are certainly more barbarians than you have seen in the other taverns and inns of Indaros here, but it's not like, in Thistlehold, things tend to be a little bit like, that's a barbarian inn, this is an Ambrian inn, sort of thing. And there's a certain mix over, like you yourselves spend time considerably in a barbarian inn here. Here, it does feel very mixed, but the fact that it's mixed in itself is unusual in here, because you don't see many barbarians in Indaros, but there's quite a lot here. And that, the groups are mixed or separate. There's a real kind of variety. So yeah,
I think I might take point on this one. I will go with Chit in hand. I will go and introduce myself in Vajvod, assuming she doesn't speak it, but out of a spirit of politeness.
The woman kind of blinks and then replies happily in Vajvod.
Okay.
And says,
Then I will.
Pardon me, sir. I did not expect you to know our tongue.
I have well travelled. I will hand over the Chit. We have 7 tonight.
6, 9, 10.
Okay. We have 10 tonight. Would that be acceptable?
You 4 plus Revelia is 5. Plus Anton is 6. 9. Yeah.
9 and a meerkat.
Yeah.
Yes.
9.5.
Well, yes, we are happy to accept this. Though you are a little bit lucky. Some of our rooms have emptied for good reason. I will have one of the lads take you to your room. She kind of barks out an order at a somewhat lazy-looking child lounging nearby, carving something out of idly out of a stick of wood. And he kind of jumps to his feet, looks all around at you. His eyes widen a little at the sight of kind of some of the larger and more imposing of your weapons and the blood coating various armors, and basically starts wandering off up some wooden stairs that lead further up into the towering inn.
Okay, everyone, we've got some rooms.
You are taken to effectively like a quite nice, what would pass for a suite near the top of the building, where you are shown into a large. It's basically like a kind of like large common room / dormitory room. It has 10 beds, all kind of single beds, a number of tables. It has a fire pit and a number of stools laid around. There are there is a chimney essentially leading up above the fire pit, and there are several what are essentially open windows with just like light wooden shutters on them. So it is intended that you set a fire, otherwise it might get quite cold up here. It's all stone, but there is decor in. It actually describes it in here. Decor is expertly crafted in the Vajvod style from wood, stone, and linen. Yeah. He says that he will send some food and drink up.
I was just going to say, I will give him a shilling for his trouble.
He looks very impressed by that. And before long, some servants arrive and they bring the house speciality of Zoltarza in, which is some A-boar stew. An A-boar is essentially a very large boar. Snake pie. Yeah. Those kinds of things.
Good.
Well, for all matters except supernatural, this will do.
The prisoner has sat on a stool near where the fire has been set and is staring into the flickering heart of it, expressionless. The adepts are both kind of sat next to each other on a bed, kind of over in the corner, occasionally whispering to each other, but generally just looking very defeated.
So, I think we will figure out what we're going to do in the morning. But I think tonight, nobody comes in, nobody comes out of this room. We guard in shifts. Does that sound reasonable?
That's solid. Thanks, Lindra.
I will say to the old man, are you able to protect this room in the manner that you wanted to talk to us?
He stares into the fire a few moments longer and then turns to you. I can do what you ask, but I will not. I have forsaken that knowledge.
That makes tonight easier then. Thank you for answering.
Okay. Are we kind of just generally setting a watch then and settling down for the night after an extremely busy day, with the morning being when we will make decisions about what we're doing about all this shit?
I think that's safe, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. In that case, it would be slightly churlish of me, since we've hit our rough 10 o'clock finish, to not wrap it up there rather than immediately engage in like an hour-long conversation. So there we go. We'll end that there for the night. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you for participating, to my lovely players. Throw comments and questions in the chat and we will address them before we jump off. In terms of our schedule at the moment, regular viewers will know it's a bit shit. It's a bit all over the place. We've had various... I won't even go into it. We have lives. We just have lives. There's no need to worry. It's just life. I think that I'm right in saying that Johnny's intending for Call of Cthulhu to happen this Monday. Is that right, John?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Symbaroum will return in 2 weeks because we're still on a fortnightly schedule for foreseeable future. And not this Thursday, tomorrow, but a week tomorrow will be the next Yellow King, or at least that's the plan. We'll see, because I'm not 100% on it yet, but hopefully it will indeed be the next Yellow King. A week tomorrow. No one-shots in the calendar right now. We're struggling enough to keep our schedule in place without thinking about that as well. But I'm sure they will arrive in due time. There's links below if you want to check out the usual stuff, Discord and blah, 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 various things. One thing that's also coming very soon, which will be probably a relief to those of you who have plugged money into our Patreon for a while for not too much of a reward, is a big old Patreon rework is on the cards, which will hopefully give people a bit more or a lot more bang for their buck, and also be a bit more transparent about how it is and, you know, what you're getting for what you're paying and various things like that. So bear with us with that one. We know we've been lax. Okay, John, do you want to start throwing up the old comments and questions and stuff? 42, has Anton spent XP on skills while Mike is away? Mike does not earn XP while he's away. So, although that might have to change a bit, when/if he returns, like, I think it's been long enough that he'd be significantly behind everyone else. So I might have to, like, do some kind of, probably not an exact XP count, but just, like, roughly see what other people have and give him some XP to kind of, like, bring him a bit more up to speed.
Just have Prios turn up with a bag of sunlight and just go, there you go.
Bag of XP, yeah. So something at the moment the answer is no, but we'll see on Mike's return. Next.
I don't exactly remember the context of this comment.
Steve, time to get to party to hit the album cover stance they've been practicing. I mean, it was probably one of my my favorite X.
Yeah, I think that was the Charging Down the Dwarf album cover.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Are You Looking Threatening After Combat? Right, yeah. It's their kind of MCU hero.
I enjoyed
pose.
our little good cop, bad cop session there. Or at least exhausted cop, helpful cop.
I thought it was interesting that once we got down to street level, the fact that Elindra was like, leave the old man alone, and Aaron was like, tie the old man up.
Yes.
That felt like a sort of reversal. Like,
it was a nice reversal from one of Elindra's first sessions, which was Aaron saying, release the goblin, and Elindra going, chop the goblin in half.
Never living that one down.
Next.
You're never gobbling that one down.
Everybody
No.
loves Fredo.
Chris.
I remember when you could get Fredo for 1 Orteg.
Yeah. Oh, I have to actually pay that.
No one not from this part of the world will get that.
That's good. 2 Thala now.
$2 for a Fredo bar now.
And they're smaller than they used to be.
People say all that, right? No one mentions that Freddos are shit. Like,
that's beside the point.
When you're a kid, all chocolate is amazing.
Yeah, sure. But people say it with yearning. Like, what they really mean is, like, I really wish I could buy shit chocolate bars shaped like a frog for low amount of money. What they mean is, I wish I had youth and joy again.
I wish I had youth
something largely unrelated to the price of chocolate frogs.
I wish I had youth and joy, but also I wish I could go into a shop and buy something nice with whatever random coin my mum had in her coat pocket.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. You wouldn't do that now, would you?
I mean, no.
In the absence of youth and joy, I would settle for like extreme buying power.
Sure.
Of chocolate
not
frogs,
necessarily a Fred
as like a sort of consolation prize.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is the stuff that people tune in for.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's not, then they will have stopped watching us a long time ago. Steve says it's a hot take that Freddo's a shit. I'll go one further. I will go one further, and this is apparently an extreme hot take, which to me is a no-brainer. Fucking Cadbury's cream eggs are dog shit. It's just sugar. It's just solid sugar with goopy sugar inside. It's revolting.
But it's the goop
revolting.
that makes it good.
It's
People
revolting.
like sugar.
It's just molten sugar. It's horrible.
No, it pleases the monkey part of my brain that wants to smash open a fruit and scoop out the inside.
If you gave a Cadbury's cream egg to a monkey, it would shit on it and then throw it at you.
Well, luckily I'm not actually a monkey. I'm just a monkey in a human suit with
Come on,
anxiety.
Matt's
So
doxing
it's
himself
fine.
as a person who hates joy.
I just hate pure fucking sugar. Like, you wouldn't get sugar and pour it into your mouth. That would be gross,
I might.
right?
Yeah.
Unless it was in a
No.
Coca-Cola bottle, in which case, fantastic.
The thing is,
Cream
I
eggs are
remember,
sweeter than cola.
I remember liking cream eggs, but that's
Always
going back a few years. I reckon the last several years, whenever I've had a cream egg, it has been just sugary disappointment.
I mean,
They
it
have
doesn't
changed
help.
the recipe.
It doesn't help
That's
that
probably it then.
like British chocolate has now become like Americanized in that it's like all the like the milkiness and the creaminess has gone from it, and it's now just really sugary.
That's
So
probably it then. I think cream eggs were like borderline back in the day, and they've just gone.
yeah,
native.
my
You
bro,
heard
I
it here
remember
first,
hating them even
folks.
then. I've never particularly had a sweet tooth, but other than the fact that, as Sam alluded to, that I used to mainline like 2 to 4 pints of Pepsi a day at one point. But that's different.
That's because that's a liquid.
It's also, or at least used to, it's also gone a bit shit now. Pepsi also has a kind of like caramelly richness to it, which like Coca-Cola and stuff doesn't. Or it used to. It may be my taste buds regrowing after years of blasting them with it. I don't know. Anyway,
I need
enough
to come
about my
back-
horrible dietary history.
I need to come back to the comment that's currently on screen. 'Cause
Okay, yeah.
Steve has popped up this. And
Need to pencil in a confectionery round table next time we have a gap. I
next
often
round
wonder-
table we have, everyone
should-
assemble the same like 8 sweets.
We
and then
should
we'll taste
definitely
them
do.
one by one.
We should definitely do some just chatting streams where we're not really talking about TTRPGs. I genuinely think that people would probably enjoy this. They'd probably be way more popular than our role playing streams.
A podcast, Matt? Are you sure you want to enter that dark?
It's not a
dark cave?
podcast if it's live.
Really?
No.
But yeah, I'm sure the
Questionable.
internet would love to hear our opinions on things. I mean, why
People apparently like to hear random people's opinions on things. I don't understand it, but I'll gladly make money off it. So there we go. Let's hop back to 42's comment because we skipped over it unfairly. I imagine the pie has snake faces poking out. I have to say I don't, but if you want to imagine that, I have no objection particularly to it.
That was definitely one of those kind of like we're going to generate a food that sounds exotic and kind of gross, but in my head was immediate. You know what? That's probably actually going to be really.
It probably
nice.
just tastes like chicken pie. Most like white meat just tastes like chicken.
I'm going to guess it'll taste like halfway between chicken and fish.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know. I have no experience with I know that alligator tastes like chicken. And that frog tastes like chicken. So
And
I
that a
would have to
snake
imagine
is
the
a cross
snakes-
between an alligator and a frog.
Kinda. Sure.
Yeah,
But like I just most land-based white meat tastes like chicken. I kind of not like much at all.
Like a really disproportionate part of our post game chat today has been about various kinds of eating frogs.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like I agree, Chris. I read snake pie and was like, snake seems like a bad meat to make a pie out of because you need a lot of snakes. right?
Or one really big snake.
Or one really big snake, I guess. But like, yeah, I don't know. It also, yeah, it seems like kind of thing where people go, oh, snake, whereas it would just look like a meat pie because,
Yeah.
But you can I can imagine that at some point in history there was a barbarian clan meeting with the subject line, "What are we going to do with all these snakes?"
Yeah, let's sell them to Ambrians as pies.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
my
Oh,
perception
yeah.
is skewed.
42 says iguana tastes like hen. Tough chew. Yeah. There's not a lot of fat on reptiles, right? So that, yeah, it's going to be tough.
Does hen taste different to chicken?
Yeah, well, I assume what 42 means is like a chicken not raised for food specifically, but more for like eggs. Because I think there is a difference. I don't know. But I don't know.
My
Maybe
perception
42 can let us know.
of how tasty snakes are may have been skewed by watching my brother play Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater during formative years of my childhood. But like, Solid Snake seemed to really enjoy them in that, so I assume they're nice.
Well, oh, I don't know why I'm even asking if in a Hideo Kojima game called Snake Eater, people eat snakes. Of
Yes.
course they fucking do.
That's how you recover.
Oh,
Do you
fuck
recover health?
me.
No, you just have a hunger. It's got a survival mechanic, and you need to eat.
Auteur
And you can
genius.
find rations, or you can catch snakes.
An
course-
And eat them,
auteur
because your name is
genius.
Snake.
Of course it's literal.
Lodestone. A lodestone. The kind of guy that so many people aspire to be.
Yeah, as Steve says, it's surprising his name isn't Snake Eater Man. Yeah. The foibles of Hideo Kojima aside, maybe we'll do a round table on Hideo Kojima.
Foibles.
Which I'll turn up and go, I've never played a Hideo Kojima game. And then just sit there for 2 hours while other people talk about them.
Eating Freddos.
Eating Freddos. Which would mean on the stream, Hideo Kojima stream, you are, of course, called Freddo Man.
I think I could eat like a Freddo, maybe a Freddo and a half before actually physically dying now at my current age.
Yeah. I don't deal well with solid chocolate now. I just like have a bit and then I'm like, oh, that's a lot.
I could eat them, but I would have to either shoplift them or remortgage my house.
One Freddo to a council estate now, in terms of buying price. So people who aren't from here watching this going, what the fuck are they talking about? And on that note, let's hop off. We'll hopefully Call of Cthulhu will be with you on Monday. Hopefully Yellow King will be with you a week tomorrow on Thursday. That's April 3rd. Yes. And Symbaroum should be with you in 2 weeks' time. Until then, take care and stay safe, folks. And we'll see you soon.